You'll have to forgive me if I forgo showing my face on camera this week. I've been through some minor surgery, so just assume that I look somewhat like this, and you'll get a feeling as to what sort of pain I'm in at the moment. However, in my recent downtime, it's given me a chance to explore some of the games that I wouldn't normally venture into on Steam. The much dreaded, much anticipated, free-to-play section. Now Closes is a game that's free-to-play action MMORPG that's developed by Nadic Games, who are also famous for such titles as okay then. Anyway, let me share with you my first few hours experience with this game. Hopefully it might save you some of the same issues that I went through myself. I did go through quite a lot of them, but that's what you get for playing a copy-pasted game. So, I installed the game through Steam after a relatively short download time, and then the game's launcher opened and began to patch itself. Then the game opened up, and instantly I had to wonder what kind of resolution they decided to make this shit for. I didn't get to think about this for very long though, because the game then realised that music was a thing, and it decided to drop the bass so fucking hard I was nearly blasted across the room. After that experience, I decided to hop into an EU server at random, and finally we were off. A cutscene introduction began, in an odd stylised way. Now this game's graphics, how do I describe them? Some things look fantastically anime and very stylised. Some things look like someone got lazy rendering PS2 graphics. Now the storyline here is pretty in-depth and complex, so let me take you through it slowly. Monsters from another dimension appear through portals. Kill him! That's it. That is literally the story. Finally, the game's tutorial begins, and I go to the settings to finally go full screen and get rid of my crappy Windows taskbar, and the game crashes to desktop. Wonderful. I won't let you enjoy the full process as to what happened next, but it took 3 attempts at restarting the game, watching the game's unskippable intro cutscene, which is 3 minutes 26 seconds long for a very intense plot that I mentioned before, and then finally the game let me change resolution. As you can see at this point, the game gave me a choice of starter characters, and I chose Punchy Guy, but we also got a choice of Sword Guy, Caster Girl, Lancer Girl, who admittedly had cute hair, and Ranger Girl. Oh, and there's also a witch character, but she's basically a vacant-eyed walking pair of tits. As soon as the tutorial starts, everything felt like a reverse gamepad, with movement being controlled by the up, right, left and down arrow buttons. I tried to attach an Xbox pad to the PC, but based on what happened when I changed resolution, I'm sure you can guess what wonderful game crashes I experienced as a result. Have any of you watching this ever played a side-scrolling beat-em-up? Have you ever played one where the punch sound effects are so loud that they become distorted and bit-crushed? How about one where the fights themselves are easy grindfest so that you have to repeat them several times to get loot because this is a Korean MMO? Negativity aside, the gameplay is marginally flashy at times with the occasional moment where it feels like fun, but then you quickly realise that your abilities are all short cooldown, no penalty spam abilities that you can just play out in sequence to become invulnerable. After the mission ended, I was taken to a hub screen where I could interact with quest givers and other players. Well, I would have been, but instead I was shown this screen for 20 seconds and then it crashed to desktop again. Upon reloading though, and thankfully this time not being shown the intro cutscene again, I was taken to Random Street. Here you could see the other players, or at least some of them. What I can say is the game seems to be fairly active. It has a small player base that seems to be really passionate about it. After taking a couple of quests from the NPCs, I was basically sent back to the same area I'd just been to, but this time was given the option of going in with a squad. I asked around to see if anyone wanted in on this fantastical adventure of mine, but was immediately called a noob as though it's 2005 all over again. So I guess I'll never be able to tell if Boob Witch here would have been a good teammate. The gameplay is repetitive, but admittedly fun in a small dose. Like, if I'd put a Euro in an arcade machine and played it for about 5 or 10 minutes, then perhaps it would have been a more appealing process. But the instant you've finished a stage, it starts to show you these really grindy elements. Farm this zone 3 or 4 more times and you can have a slightly better fist weapon. All in all, I can't recommend this game for more than the 3 hours that I put into it for review purposes. It has charm and a bit of style, but mostly it's the most obvious grindfest that I've seen in a game in a long time. And I've played a lot of foreign MMOs before. I only took a brief look into the cash shop, and it was the usual cosmetics and pets. Early on into playing the game, I was given bunny ears and a pet egg. This pet egg was supposed to hatch into a sheep? Maybe? I have no idea, it wasn't really explained very well. And that's about all I can really tell you about this game. I'm sorry this review's been a little shorter than my other ones. I'll be back to my usual form from this point onwards hopefully, but if you've enjoyed this little review, be sure to throw me a like or subscribe, I really do appreciate it. Until next week though, goodbye and thank you for joining me.